needs to start asking the question, what is the crime? Because everyone in this court has not been informed of what the crime is. The defendant does not know the crime that was committed.
Onlookers let Lauren Boebert have it after she and her fellow Trump bootlickers ditched their real jobs to support their cult leader in court.
We're here of our own volition because there are things we can say that President Trump is unjustly not allowed to say. This is a corrupt judge. These are corrupted witnesses. This is a corrupt prosecution that belies any sense of the facts or the law. And so we're going to keep speaking out against this.
Gaetz and Boebert were joined by a group of MAGA lunatics, including Andy Biggs, Bob Good, Anna Paulina Luna, Andy Ogles, and others to do Trump's bidding. Or as Senator J.D. Vance puts it,
I was there to support a friend, recognizing that sometimes it's a little bit lonely to sit up there by yourself. I offered to come in and maybe, just be a friendly face in the courtroom. And that's all I wanted to do.
This is hilarious coming from Vance, considering this is what he used to think of Trump before he got involved in politics.
One thing they should be doing is thinking seriously about what's wrong in their communities. And going both in personal ways, but also in the political leaders that they choose, really holding their feet to the fire and asking that they do things that will actually address their problems. I think, frankly, that's a big problem with Trump, is that he diagnoses the problems in a very successful, very passionate way, but I don't see him as offering many solutions. I regret them, and I regret being wrong about the guy. I think that he was a good president. I think he made a lot of good decisions for people, and I think he took a lot of flack. And as you probably appreciate, Alicia, I've taken a lot of flack myself over the last few years for standing up for the president's voters, but also standing up for the agenda.
Vance had to kiss the ring and retract his statements about Trump once he realized his only path to victory was through the MAGA base. And now he's going down that road even further.
Whether you love Donald Trump, whether you like Donald Trump, or whether you're a Democrat or don't care about politics, what's going on inside that courtroom is a threat to American democracy, ladies and gentlemen. We cannot have a country where you get to prosecute your political opponents instead of persuading voters. Joe Biden's entire strategy is to try to distract from inflation at home and war overseas with this sham trial. I just want to live in a reasonable country.
To their credit, some establishment Democrats are taking advantage of Vance, Boebert, Gaetz, and the other MAGA stooges skipping out on their colleagues to support Trump.
Well, it's nice to see that some of my colleagues on the other side could make it today. I don't know if that means that there weren't enough seats in the courtroom in New York, but I know that the Oversight Committee canceled a hearing that was supposed to happen right now on this matter so that they could be at the president's trial. I know some members will miss this vote because they want to be at the president's trial. And I don't think that anything could animate the phrase, "do nothing Congress," more than missing votes and canceling hearings to go up and be a spectator at your cult leader's trial. That is the definition of do nothing Congress. So this is entirely about not accepting the outcome of the January 6th vote here, rooting on the rioters, and doing everything you can to try and affect the outcome of the upcoming election.
Donald Trump has fallen asleep multiple times at his own criminal trial. I am a former prosecutor. I can tell you that is not normal. I think there may be some physical and mental health issues that should be investigated. I'm going to tell you what people in the courtroom are writing about Donald Trump falling asleep. Here's a reporter who has been observing this. One reporter observed, quote, that Donald Trump has nodded off a few times, his mouth going slack and his head drooping onto his chest, end quote. Another reporter said, quote, that Donald Trump slowly dropped his head. His eyes closed, it jerked back upward, he adjusts himself, then his head droops again, he straightens up, leaning back, his head droops for a third time, he shakes his shoulders, eyes closed still, his head drops, end quote. If a person is so weak and feeble, if Donald Trump is so weak and feeble, he cannot stay awake at his own criminal trial, he can't be president of the United States.
A man who his own Secretary of State said was a moron. Yes, Tillerson said he was a moron. Kelly said he admires, John Kelly, his chief of staff, said he admires autocrats and dictators and has no conception of the rule of law or concern for it or for democracy in our country. His defense secretary, Mark Esper, said he was a threat to democracy. John Bolton declared him to be unfit to be president. And of course, Mike Pence said they had profound differences. All folks coming up here and defending what's going on in New York. This is a man who had just his wife gave birth to his child, and he was playing golf and fornicating in Nevada rather than being with his wife and his newborn child. What an example we have for the American public and for young people.
This country has completely lost the plot when it comes to legislating and actually working for the American people compared to the past. Don't get me wrong. There's always been political theater and a general sense that politicians aren't genuine. But with the rise of Trump, we are really getting a much clearer look at the buffoonery and the corruption that goes on in Washington. And furthermore, politicians now are incentivized to do as little as possible for their voters and just give the appearance of actually doing something that is going to benefit their voters. And that, we need to scale that back a lot so we can have more politicians who actually care about their citizens, care about the people who put their trust in them, and that they're going to stand by their word and be held accountable and not have an issue with being held accountable. For Rebel HQ, I'm Chris Williamson. We'll see you next time.